We all know the essential trio of plant nutrients is NPK. Among them, nitrogen is the most vital element for foliage growth, yet it's also the most elusive. While phosphorus and potassium can remain stable within the soil structure, nitrogen is notoriously prone to leaching away with water or evaporating into the air. The irony is that although nitrogen makes up the bulk of our atmosphere, most plants can't actually tap into this airborne source on their own. This leaves them entirely dependent on the fertilizer you provide. Of course, here on this channel, chemical fertilizers are never an option. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take common kitchen scraps and process them into the highest quality natural nitrogen sources. You'll have a lush, vibrant garden without spending a single dime. Every week, I share grounded insights on organic gardening and intentional living. Hit subscribe to ensure you're getting authentic, earth-first advice you can actually trust straight to your feed. Now, let's dive in with our first method. Method 1. Spent coffee grounds. Our first method focuses on spent coffee grounds. You might not realize it, but coffee grounds contain about 2% nitrogen and serve as a resilient source of organic matter. A common misconception is that coffee grounds will acidify your soil. However, since most of the acid is water-soluble and ends up in your cup, the remaining grounds are actually near neutral in pH. They won't negatively impact your soil's acidity as many people fear. The most critical technical factor when using coffee grounds is the carbon-to-nitrogen ratio. While rich in nitrogen, these grounds require time for soil microorganisms to break them down before plants can actually absorb the nutrients. If you choose to apply them directly, you must sun-dry the grounds thoroughly first. Applying damp grounds creates a breeding ground for mold, forming a crust that blocks vital gas exchange between the roots and the environment. Aim for a thin layer, no more than half a centimeter, and lightly till it into the surface soil. This not only provides nutrients, but also creates a gritty physical barrier that deters pests like ants and slugs. If you want faster results, turn them into a liquid fertilizer. Soaking coffee grounds in water for about 24 hours helps release soluble nitrogen compounds. When you apply this nitrogen tea, it jumpstarts microbial activity in the soil, making nutrients available almost instantly. However, keep in mind that coffee grounds have a very fine texture. Overusing them can lead to soil compaction, which hinders drainage. Use this as a periodic supplement rather than a constant fix for any single container. Method 2. Banana peels. Next up are banana peels, a kitchen staple often misunderstood as only providing potassium. In reality, banana peels contain a small amount of organic nitrogen, but more importantly, they possess a diverse mineral profile that supercharges soil microbial activity. When these microbes thrive, the decomposition of nitrogen from other sources in the soil accelerates, allowing your plants to absorb nutrients far more efficiently. However, the biggest mistake people make is tossing whole peels onto the soil surface. This not only slows down decomposition, but also invites fruit flies and harmful fungi. To maximize this nutrient source, you should chop the peels into small pieces and soak them in water for about 48 hours. This soaking process helps soluble organic compounds begin to break down into the liquid. Once enough time has passed, strain the liquid and dilute it with clean water at a 1:5 ratio before watering. Dilution is mandatory to ensure the nutrient concentration isn't too intense, allowing the roots to absorb it immediately without going into shock. As for the leftover pulp, don't throw it away. Instead, bury it at least 5 to 10 centimeters deep in the soil. Deep burial prevents odors from attracting insects while allowing microorganisms to complete the final decomposition, returning rich humus directly to the root zone. Another method, if you have the time, is to dry the peels and grind them into a fine powder. Dried banana peel powder won't cause sudden temperature spikes in the soil due to rapid fermentation, providing a slow and sustainable release of nutrients. This is particularly effective for plants in a heavy foliage growth phase that also need structural strength for their stems. Remember, banana peels are an excellent supplement, but because they decompose so quickly, you need to maintain a regular feeding schedule to keep your plant's growth momentum steady. Method 3. Vegetable cooking water. Many people toss their vegetable cooking water down the drain, unaware that they're wasting a goldmine of soluble nutrients. During the boiling process, a portion of organic nitrogen, along with B vitamins, potassium, and trace minerals from the greens, is released directly into the water. This acts as a pre-cooked food source for soil microorganisms, allowing plants to absorb it almost instantly without waiting for complex decomposition. However, there are two critical boundaries you must never cross when using this liquid. The first is temperature. You must never water your plants while the liquid is still warm, even slightly. Roots, especially the delicate fine root hairs, are extremely sensitive to heat. Watering with warm water causes thermal shock, searing the roots and leading to wilting within hours. You must let the water cool down completely to room temperature before taking it to the garden. The second, and most vital, is salt. If you have a habit of salting your water to keep vegetables green, that water is strictly off limits for your plants. The sodium in salt is the #1 enemy of soil structure. It causes salinization, stripping the roots of their ability to exchange ions and causing the plant to slowly perish because it can no longer intake water. As long as you ensure the water is pure and salt-free, this is an excellent liquid booster for leafy greens during their rapid growth phase. Since the nutrients are in a liquid and highly diluted form, you can use it to replace regular watering about 2 to 3 times a week. This is exactly how you close the food cycle, taking the nutrients from one vegetable to nourish the next generation in your garden. Method 4. Crushed eggshells. Eggshells are a tragically wasted resource in the kitchen, despite being composed of 95% calcium carbonate and containing a small amount of nitrogen-rich protein within the inner membrane. However, if you simply crush them by hand and sprinkle them on the soil, it will take years for the plant to absorb anything. To turn this into an immediately available nutrient source, you need to follow 2 critical technical steps. First, cleaning and sterilization. Lightly rinse the shells and toast them in a pan or oven for about 5 minutes. This not only eliminates the risk of salmonella contamination, but also makes the shell structure brittle and much easier to break down. The second step is fine grinding. You need to pulverize the eggshells into a powder as fine as possible, rather than leaving them as shards. When mixed into the soil, this eggshell powder reacts with natural organic acids, releasing calcium into the soil solution. Why is this important for nitrogen? Science has shown that calcium acts as a transporter. It helps regulate the nitrogen uptake by the roots and strengthens the plant's resistance to pests and diseases. With adequate calcium, leaf cells become thicker and sturdier, preventing the leggy or overly soft growth that often occurs with excess nitrogen, which can leave plants vulnerable to fungal infection. A pro tip to optimize this fertilizer is to mix the eggshell powder directly into the planting hole before sowing, or mix it with a bit of apple cider vinegar to create a water-soluble calcium solution for flowering plants. Incorporating eggshells into your routine doesn't just aerate the soil and stabilize pH. It creates a perfect buffer system that allows other nitrogen-rich fertilizers to perform at their peak without shocking the plant. Method 5. Used tea bag. If you have a habit of drinking tea, never throw these bags into the trash. The tea leaves inside are rich in organic nitrogen and tannic acid, a natural compound that significantly improves soil fertility and water retention. Once in the soil, tannic acid creates a slightly acidic environment that is ideal for beneficial microorganisms to thrive, while simultaneously helping to release locked nutrients, making them more accessible to the plant's roots. However, there is a technical risk you must address before use. Currently, about 20 to 30% of tea bags on the market are made from nylon fibers or polypropylene plastic to maintain durability in hot water. If you bury the entire bag, the plastic mesh will persist for decades, causing microplastic pollution in your garden soil. Therefore, your first step must be to tear open the bag, collect the damp tea leaves, and use only the contents for your plants. These leaves should then be mixed directly into the topsoil or added to your compost bin as an activator. Mixing tea leaves into the soil does more than just provide nitrogen. It creates an organic mulch layer that excels at retaining moisture around the root zone. This is particularly beneficial during hot summer days when nitrogen in the soil is prone to volatilization due to high temperatures. With tea leaves acting as a regulator, stable moisture levels keep nitrogen compounds in the soil longer, providing a sustained nutrient source for your plants. Use tea leaves regularly, and you will notice your soil structure becoming fluffier, richer in humus, and significantly more fertile over a short period. Method 6. Fermented rice water. Rice water is packed with B vitamins, starches, and trace elements that stimulate root development. However, if you simply water your plants with fresh rice water daily, the undissolved starch can form a film on the soil surface, causing it to become sticky and attract ants. The secret to transforming rice water into a high-grade nitrogen fertilizer lies in the fermentation process to activate lactobacillus bacteria. When you leave rice water in a sealed container for 2 to 3 days at room temperature, beneficial bacteria begin to consume the starch and release lactic acid. This acid has the power to suppress soil-borne pathogens, and more importantly, it helps break down insoluble nitrogen compounds into a form that plants can absorb instantly. You'll know the process is successful when the water turns slightly cloudy and develops a mild, yogurt-like sour scent. If the water smells foul or putrid, it's a sign of harmful bacterial growth, and you must not use it. Once successfully fermented, do not apply this concentrate directly to the roots. Dilute it with clean water at a 1:5 or 1:10 ratio, depending on the plant's sensitivity. Method 7. Green manure tea, grass clippings, and leaf scraps. While the previous 6 methods are gentle supplements, green manure tea is the high-concentration nitrogen powerhouse for your garden. The raw materials here aren't just kitchen scraps, but the freshest green waste from your yard, fresh grass clippings, vegetable trimmings, or wilted greens. The key lies in the chlorophyll within these green leaves, where the highest concentration of biological nitrogen is stored. By soaking them in water in an oxygen-deprived environment, we break down the plant cell walls, releasing the full spectrum of organic nitrogen into the solution. To make it, tightly pack your green leaves into a plastic bucket, fill it with water, and seal the lid tightly. This steeping process lasts anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the ambient temperature. During this time, anaerobic microorganisms work tirelessly to convert the green matter into a dark brown nitrogen tea. However, be warned, this liquid has a very potent, distinct odor due to the intensive organic decomposition. It's best to place your fermentation bucket in a far corner of the garden and keep it sealed to avoid attracting insects. When it's time to use it, you must never apply it directly. The nitrogen concentration at this stage is so intense, it can instantly sear the plant's root. Dilute the solution with clean water at a ratio of at least 1:10. This tea is exceptionally effective for leafy greens in their rapid growth phase or for rejuvenating old stagnant plants. I hope these 7 methods help you not only save on fertilizer costs, but also play a part in reducing environmental pressure. Beyond the methods I've shared today, are there any other ways you use kitchen scraps to nourish your plants? Please leave a comment below and let me know. I'd love to hear your experiences. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss out on our upcoming content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.